Your hospital records hold the key to your past physical and emotional history. Would you want a stranger to go through them and read about past procedures, say the type of medication you're on, tests that you've had and what they've revealed, along with facts like, say, your weight?
Believe it or not, there have been cases where unauthorized nurses have snooped through your files for their own entertainment. A recent victim happened to be former Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. According to the Toronto Star, his medical records were breached 4 times at least 3 different Toronto hospitals. And just last week, the Ontario Court of Appeal granted patients the right to sue hospitals over privacy breaches.
So how often do these breaches occur, and how would you know if you're a victim? Joining us today, we have Gil Zvulony. He's a lawyer. He specializes in privacy laws. And Gil, the Star reported that hundreds of hospital privacy violations go unreported. Why is that?
It's hard to say exactly. I mean, depends what you qualify as a privacy breach. A privacy breach could be, a doctor speaking to a colleague in the lineup at the hospital in the Tim Hortons, and somebody overhears it. That could be qualified as a privacy breach. And the doctor
and
may not even.
Is that a legitimate breach? I mean,
yes.
Or is that just
If they give a name, if they speak about a person that's identifiable, I would certainly characterize that as a breach. The doctors may not realize it. Other breaches may be a little more deliberate. It could be someone accessing the computer network when they're not authorized to, that sort of thing. In each case, if there is a privacy breach, there is an obligation upon the hospital to notify the patient of that breach.
So what you're saying, Gil, is there are many, many patients out there who have no knowledge of the fact that unauthorized people have accessed their records, maybe for their own entertainment, maybe for certain information. There's tons of people out there that have no idea that this has been done to them.
I think that's fair to say.
What recourse do these people have? Or do they have any?
Well, it's hard to take any recourse if you don't know that there's been a breach.
True.
And it doesn't. I don't want to single out hospitals here. I mean, the problem is widespread in our society. It could be, it could be police officers accessing their computers for personal interest. It could be somebody at a Walmart. I'm not singling out Walmart, but it could be at a grocery store somewhere. Where they access somebody's online purchasing history. I mean, the more digitized we become, the more these issues are going to arise.
Okay, let's take Rob Ford, for example. Extremely well-known, infamous people, probably of all ages could recognize him. So someone's working in a hospital. I actually heard reports from a friend of a friend kind of thing when, he's having this done and this is his... There were rumors going around. But if someone that well-known walks into a hospital or is sitting waiting for a test result, isn't it virtually impossible to completely protect their privacy? People will recognize them at the very least.
Well, they may recognize them walking into a hospital. Okay,
or walking into a particular doctor's office. You're walking into an oncologist's office, suddenly someone says, who works at the Tim Hortons in the hospital, knows that someone's seeing an oncologist, puts 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's going to be inevitable. But, what about the person's x-rays, copies of the person's chart, that sort of thing? There could be better steps taken to perhaps protect so-called high-profile individuals. I think currently, you have these systems in place where there are policies that prevent workers or staff from accessing information, but the technological impediments may not be there. There should be some locks on these doors. There may not be. Each hospital is different. Each case is different, but just the fact that there are these breaches shows that they can happen and that the technological measures are not there in place.
Let's talk about everyday privacy. I see so many pictures in newspapers, online, that were taken of people who didn't want their picture taken. For example, if you want to take a picture in a public park or at a restaurant, you are supposed to, unless they're people that are part of your party, you need to ask them permission if it's okay that they're in your photograph. Is that going a bit too far when it comes to privacy?
I think you've mischaracterized the law there, Mark. You don't have to ask anybody.
You should.
That may be common etiquette, but the law, you're not breaking any laws if you take a picture of somebody without their consent, unless you are invading their privacy. So if somebody's
Who makes that determination?
Well, it's what's reasonable in the circumstances, the law, the common law, essentially. But, we could illustrate it by two extreme examples. One, somebody's walking down Yonge Street, and their photo is taken. Actually, it happens all the time. Their photo is taken by bank cameras, by taxi cabs, by passerbys. No one's violating any laws by taking someone's photo when they're clearly in public. On the opposite extreme, if somebody's putting a hidden camera in a private bathroom and taking pictures there, that's clearly a violation of privacy.
Gil, can I ask you about my experience at a restaurant where I was sitting with 3 people, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't see a photographer. It was in the food section of a newspaper the next day. What if I'd been with 3 people that I didn't want to be seen with, be identified with? I mean, I felt like my privacy was violated in this restaurant.
Well, you were in public.
In public in a restaurant, okay.
A restaurant is a public place. Now, certain private property owners can set policies saying, if you want to come into our place of business, if you want to come into our private property, then you have to follow these rules. And the rules can be no videotaping, no photographs, no audio recordings, that sort of thing. But those are sort of conditions for allowing people to come onto the private property. But you were out in public, and taking your photo was fair game according to the law.
Even though I wasn't asked. I didn't even see a camera. Okay, what about common courtesy? But that's for another day. Gil Zvulony, he's this lawyer, specializes in privacy laws. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Gil.